Okay, so you guys all had a test done called a BIA. That stands for bioimpedance analysis, and I'm going to show you how to interpret that. Okay, there's a couple numbers that are out of the frame here. It's just your height, your weight, your age, etc. Those are all pretty self-explanatory. The computer spits out an ideal desired weight for you. That's not something I pay a ton of attention to. BMI, body mass index, again, not something I pay a lot of attention to. Maximum BMI, again, not that important. Where I start looking is when we get to this thing called actual phase. That's the phase angle. That's actually tells us the health of your cells. The things to know about this: the numbers go from 0 to 12. So a 12 would be a person with completely, ideally healthy cells, and somebody with a 0 would be dead. And somebody with like a 2, 3, 3.5, 4 is very, very sick. Okay, so Lance Armstrong, when he was winning the Tours de France, was having these tests done. He was at about an 11.5. If I get a cancer patient or an HIV patient in here, they would be at about a 2.5 or a 3. Okay, most of you will probably be around the 6 range. There's actually a number right below here called the minimum phase. This is the minimum phase angle that the computer wants you to have. You can see this young man who was a patient that went through this. He was a very conditioned athlete in very good shape. He actually is above the minimum, which is good. A lot of you won't be there, but you'll get there eventually. This program is made to get your cells healthier, so it'll just happen naturally. Okay, so the phase angle is the health of your cells. Again, we want it around 6, and ideally above your minimum phase angle that the computer spits out for you. This number is different for each person. Next number here is actual BMR. That means basal metabolic rate. Number below that is daily energy expenditure. This is how many calories you burn if you just like lay on the couch all day. So these two have to do with calories, and we don't pay a lot of attention to calories because we know it's more important to balance your hormones. Then your body regulates the amount of calories that you take in and use. But that's what those numbers. This is how much you would burn if you laid on the couch. This is how much you would burn if you were doing a certain amount of activity. And he's very active, so we put high activity level for him. That's what those numbers mean. Next, we're talking about fat. Okay, so percent actual fat, pretty self-explanatory, and weight actual fat, again, pretty self-explanatory. So these two numbers have to do with fat. He was 15.8% of his body weight is fat, and that equates to about 26 pounds of his, I don't know if you can see his weight up here. He actually weighs 165 pounds. 26 pounds of his body weight is fat, and that equals about 15.8%. So that's something you guys will see. And we want weight loss ideally to come from here, right? Next number is weight maximum fat. That's just something I put on there just for you to see. We want you below that maximum number. That's a good target to shoot for. And you can see he was. Next is weight actual fat-free mass. Now this is the rest of the 165 pounds that's not fat. Okay, so muscle, organs, bones, etc. 139 pounds. So FM stands for fat-free mass. Next thing we have is weight actual body cell mass. Body cell mass actually equals muscle. Okay, muscle or organ. It's the parts of your body that actually use and burn calories. Okay, most of that is skeletal muscle. 71.9 pounds. Okay, this is a number that when we redo this, we want to see it either stay the same or go up. Okay, we don't really want to lose any of that tissue unless we are severely overweight. Sometimes this will go down because you don't need as much muscle to carry around all that extra fat that you had. Weight minimum BCM is just something I put on there for my very, very critically ill patients. We don't want you below this number, and most of you won't be. Weight actual ECM stands for extracellular mass. ECM, extracellular mass, and that is your frame. That's your bones, your ligaments, your cartilage, etc. Okay, so his frame weighs about 67.1 pounds. The muscle on it weighs about 71.9 pounds. I like these numbers to be within 5 pounds of each other, so I don't want you to have a 64.6 pound frame and only 50 pounds of muscle. Okay, I like these numbers to be fairly close to each other. Next thing we want to look at is percent weight total body water, TBW total body water. He's 60.4% total body water. That's a really fairly good percent. We can tell how hydrated you are, etc. what I look at again then is this liters actual total body water. So 60.4% total body water equates to about 45.2 liters. Okay, and the next one of the most important things I look at is this percent of the intercellular water and extracellular water. These are 2 percents I look at. Intercellular water, ICW, should be minimally 60%, or I guess about ideally 60%. Extracellular water should be ideally about 40%. You can see he's beat that. He's 65 in, 35 or so out. A lot of you guys will be 50-50, or the ratio will be skewed. That means that there's some underlying inflammation going on, and that's something that the diet and exercise programs and lifestyle that we've laid out for you, that's like our hunter-gatherer ancestors, will take care of on its own. Okay, we can also suggest some supplements in some cases to help balance it out a little faster, but if it's not 60-40 in this ratio, it means you've got some inflammation going on. And it's something that just actually doing what we're teaching you to do will be taken care of on its own. Okay, so when we redo these, the numbers we want to look at is to make sure your phase angle has gone up. We want it to ideally. Sometimes it goes down before it goes up, like I said, but we want it to go up. We want to make sure that you're losing weight from fat. Okay, we want to try to make sure that you're maintaining your muscle. And we want to shift the water from outside your cells to inside your cells. So we want that ratio to improve. Another thing we want to look for, so we can actually see if you're losing water, if you're losing fat, or if you're losing muscle. That's why this test is so awesome. So this gives us a lot of cool numbers to start with, which you guys are all able to look at and see how you're doing. But where it becomes really valuable is when we measure this against itself. So next time we do one of these, refer to this video so you can see exactly what's going on. With the program, you get 2 of these, one in the beginning and one in the end. I always suggest that people get one in the middle too. The reason I do that is sometimes people jump on the scale, and the scale is kind of a blunt instrument when it comes to seeing how you're doing. Sometimes people jump on the scale and they say, I haven't lost a pound. But we look on this and we see, oh, you've actually lost 5 pounds of fat. You've just put on a little bit of water to buffer all the toxins that are released by that fat. That happens all the time. So it's always a good idea to get an extra one of these in the middle of the program just to see how you're doing. Hope this was helpful, and please refer back to it again and again so you can, when we do these tests again, you can see how you're doing. Thank you.